We are very close to the NBA playoffs and play-in tournament starting. And obviously very excited because we're a basketball podcast, and that is meaning that's what we're going to be talking about for the foreseeable future. But got a little bit of news right before the playoffs, one of them being that Jrue Holiday signed an extension. Obviously, landed with the Boston Celtics this year. He signed a 4-year, $135 million contract extension. Holiday is the fourth player. I thought this was kind of interesting. The fourth player to sign a guaranteed deal worth more than $100 million at 33 years old. That list includes LeBron, Steph Curry, and Al Horford. He is shooting a career best 43% on three-pointers and a 62% on corner threes, which is the best over a season for any NBA player. With 50-plus attempts in the past 25 years, congratulations to Jrue Holiday. I just wish it wasn't with the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, well, good for him for betting on himself, number one.
Yeah.
And like you said, with the age, getting that last big contract. I mean, he's 33 years old. This extension now takes him through age 37. This is his last big payday. But yeah, I mean, look, Boston, we know they're all in right now. They want to keep everybody locked up. You've got Brown, you've got Tatum, now you've got Jrue Holiday.
Run it back.
Yeah, Porzingis's contract is coming back. And then I think the only question mark you have at this point is Derek White, if you want to get Derek White locked up long term. And that's going to be kind of more of how far into the luxury tax is Boston's ownership willing to spend.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any indication that they aren't willing to do that so far, and they should be. I mean, this is a team that has won 62 games as we speak. Jrue is brought in here for his playoff, success in the past.
Not only that, for his defense. I mean, the dude, like, I saw a stat, I think the Ringer put it out. He's defended 19 players for 40-plus half-court matchups, and that includes Jalen Brunson, Giannis, and Zion Williamson. Like, three very different sizes of NBA player, and he's just stepping up to all of them, Like, that's impressive in its own.
Yeah, I mean, he quarterbacks that defense. Like, this is one of the best defending guards, at least, of the past decade, more or less. And it's a game that's going to age well. Obviously, like, he's a pretty good shooter.
Yep.
It's not somebody who really relies on athleticism. And like we said, I mean, he made last year with the Bucks, he made the all-star team. He was on all defensive first team last year. You expect him to be on one of the all defensive teams. And again, it's just about the stability. If you're Boston, you really want to obviously get this thing over the top. And that's the next goal. Like, it's still banner 18 or bust for them this year. But I think getting this done before the playoffs, rewarding a player who's been great for them all year for a core that is all locked in. Like, again, it keeps the vibes high. And I'll always, salute a player for betting on himself the way that I think Jrue Holiday did here.
Yeah. And obviously, with the expectations they have this year, as you were alluding to, already in a run it back scenario. And I think anybody who is a Celtics fan would want them to do that at this point, because they've been dominant. I actually had a graph that I wanted to pull up that was teams with double-digit conference leads since the merger, which is the Celtics for now. I think their gap as of this being posted was 13.5. I'll have to check to see if that's still the same. Obviously, we don't know the result. The Heat had it in 2012, 2013. They won the title. The Pistons had it in 05, 06. They lost to the conference finals. Then you've got the 95, 96 Bulls, 14, 15 Warriors, 08, 09 Lakers, 85, 86 Lakers. And out of all those, everybody won except for the 85, 86 Lakers and Pistons. So, like, it's a pretty good list of, if you have this lead like the Celtics have, it's a safe bet that there's a real good chance you win the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too far into our main discussion, which is going to be kind of how the playoffs are setting up and what to watch here over the last few weeks. But yeah, if you're Boston, this is what you dreamed about, right? And I think one of the reasons to be more bullish on a Boston title is just the road that they're going to have to take to get to the finals at this point seems significantly easier than anybody in the West is going to have to go through. Like, even if you feel good about Denver and Minnesota and Oklahoma City, who I all think are elite teams and have the ability to come out of that conference, even at Dallas, maybe at this point, the way that they've ended the season and how they're playing right now. But Boston, you just look around and I'm not really scared of them losing in a 7-game series to anybody in the East. Like you've now got a hobbled Giannis, which we'll get into a little bit later, but the Bucks had problems even before Giannis got hurt. Cleveland's been slumping. I mean, you're looking at Miami and the Sixers, and they may have to fight through the play-in game. Like they're not even a lock to be in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
So I do think there's something, if you're Boston, I don't really want to play Miami or the Sixers in the first round just because I think they are two of the better opponents in the East right now, the way it's setting up. Like the Sixers are getting healthy. And that's something, again, with seating wise, we'll talk about in a little bit. But the other part of me is like, if you're Boston, you kind of want Miami to get this 8 seed. And like, if we're truly going to win the title this year and finally
knock them out quick, let's just make a statement.
Away. I want to just take the demon head on.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right. Like knock Miami out. Because if you knock Miami out, and if you're Boston at a 1-8, you got to feel good about the bracket the rest of the way. Like, I don't know. The Knicks now without Julius Randle. The Cavs haven't exactly impressed here in the second half. Same deal.
Donovan Mitchell's
young. Orlando is young.
Yeah, well, and Donovan Mitchell's played like 7 games in March or something like that. His numbers are down, and if Donovan's not playing, then the Cavs aren't really playing that well. It's
right.
And Hallie came back. I was reading a thing saying Hallie came back early so that he could hopefully hit the 62 game mark, so that the All NBA is still in play for him. And you look at his numbers since he came back, is just not as good, not as aggressive, and yeah, I think if you're the Celtics, the teams you're most worried about, even though he's hobbled, I think you're still most worried about Bucks with Giannis, then the Sixers, then the Heat.
You're more generous than the Bucks. I mean, again, we'll get into a little bit.
You're
more generous than the Bucks than me. I think Miami and the Sixers are the only teams that Boston even looks at right now with any sort of respect in the Eastern Conference. But realistically, like this is theirs to lose. Like I say all that to say they're by far and wide have been the best season in the Eastern Conference this year. They're playing for a title. It's title or bust. And we will see what happens. Like it's been they were there 2 years ago. Obviously, a little bit of a stumble, a super disappointing loss against Miami last year. Again, that's why a part of me thinks, do you want Miami to avenge it head on? They shouldn't want Miami. They should want, I don't know, Indy or Orlando if they slip into the play-in somehow. I think that's the ideal scenario just because they cruise. Like, I think you're looking at a potential sweep at that point. I still think they'd beat Miami or the Sixers. I just think you'll have to work a lot harder to do it.
Sure. And to that, before we make the full transition, as of recording this right now, right, we're going into a Friday night game of a lot of NBA games are happening. There are 17 teams still playing for seeding right now, which could lead to a bigger discussion of play-in tournament effectiveness and all that if we really wanted to talk about it, because I will allude to that a little bit in my Ballin' and Fallin'. But yeah, man, that makes the end of the season exciting. We got a lot of teams jockeying for position, a lot of teams looking at, do we have the tiebreaker? A lot of teams looking at, if this person wins, we got to play this person, and vice versa. So it makes it exciting, at least for an NBA viewer.
No, definitely. I mean, we know who our 20 teams are going to be in terms of the 10 from each conference who are going to be in the play-in at least. Like the cutoffs have been made at this point, but yeah, way more seeding on the line than it feels like has been in the past. And it could be a colossal difference in who you play in the first round. I know if you got title aspirations, you don't want to be ducking anybody, but
make your path easier though. Make your path easier.
Weird things can happen. You never know. And so you want to try to make it as stress-free as possible. That's what we aim for here on the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. Welcome, everybody. My name is Kevin Rayfuse. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Justin Kuzart.
Halftime show almost got me in trouble.
Okay. Let's see who almost got in trouble with the halftime
From
show.
back in 2020, this was the Shakira Jennifer
Oh, okay.
Lopez.
Well, that's a very important context that would have mattered here.
Mhm, mhm.
Geez, okay, 3 years ago. Who's gotta be married too? Is it D Wade?
It is not D Wade. It is an active NBA player who has been in the news this week.
It's not LeBron, is it?
No, no.
Oh.
But pretty much that level of stardom.
Oh, is it Giannis?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, classic. Hey, listen, I get it.
I still remember she did, I know it was a specific, thing, but when when Shakira, like, got up in the camera and everyone turned that into a meme.
Yeah, yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. I do.
um,
Memes come and go so fast now that it's like I can't even keep track of them anymore, but you're
oh,
right.
dude,
That
yeah.
was a meme for a little bit.
The
Uh,
thing that everyone's doing now is the sketch guy, the streamer, the
dude,
"Hey, brother."
I have no idea who that kid was until, like, a
Oh,
week ago, and now,
yeah.
like, he's everywhere. He's
Dude,
truly everywhere.
how cool is it for him? How cool would you feel if something that you were doing that kinda was just like a thing you said because it was just whatever, it just rolled off the tongue, it was your go-to, it was your catchphrase, it just felt right. Something you're saying gets so big that the guy who is currently, well, he might not be currently leading, was currently leading the Masters after day 1 said it walking down the fairway.
It's definitely the
That's
thing
so
right
cool.
now.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
I mean, hey, definitely. I mean, good for him. I mean, he's like I said, he's been everywhere.
Yeah, oh,
Definitely,
yeah.
you don't know how long these are going to be, whether you're going to be a one hit wonder or not. I
You
guess so. Get it while you're there is
Well,
my
that's what I
point.
mean. You
Like,
hope he's capitalizing on it. I don't know what that looks like, but I hope he's capitalizing
it's
on it.
working so far. So
Yeah,
yeah, like you
yeah.
said, I definitely hope he is doing that. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
And we are on YouTube. Just search Driving Dish NBA Podcast. You can find us there. Subscribe. You get notifications when the episodes are coming out. You get video versions. For times that we do immaculate grids and rankings and tiers, there's a visual to it. There'll actually be a visual to this when we come back from the little break here with a lot of potential scenarios that are about to happen.
A lot going on.
Dude, I look at this graph and I just get confused because I can't, like, my brain doesn't work this way. So you're gonna have to be the captain steering this ship when
That's
we
all right.
get
I'm
to it.
hopefully going to steer us away from the iceberg. We're going to do our best to navigate here. But now a word from our sponsors.
Does that mean I'm Rose? Are you Jack? Am I Rose? Are
Yeah, it's
we?
all right. Just, I mean, I hope you make enough room for me on the door, because there
Yeah,
definitely was enough room on the door. But
yeah.
listen, I understand. You got to. I'm gonna take care of you. I'll hang out on the water
But
deck.
there's enough room on the door, but there's not enough room in the NBA playoffs. Like
No,
that
there's not.
transition.
Well, I mean, I guess all these teams are here, but not in the regular one. You're right. And yeah, there is a ton to play for as we speak. So, going into these Friday night matchups, we'll start in the East. Boston at 1 is the only thing that's guaranteed at this point. Uh,
Yeah.
between the Bucks and the Knicks, they're at 2 and 3 right now, respectively. The Cavs are at 4. Orlando's a game behind the Cavs, and the Pacers are tied with Orlando. And then you've got the Sixers and the Heat, who are in playing position right now, but both have the ability to move up. Chicago and Atlanta will be the 9 and 10 play-in matchup, I should say. And we'll preview that a little bit later, kind of last in this. I mean, for the Bucks, I feel like we should start with Giannis. Like Giannis with the calf strain. Thankfully, I mean, if you're the Bucks, because it was non-contact, and a lot of people I think thought
That was
Achilles
sketchy.
right away.
Yep, yep. That was
Obviously,
a scary video.
season's over if Achilles is out. If you're Milwaukee,
Yeah.
but either way, I mean, there's a chance that if he plays in round 1 at all, he's going to be extremely limited. I mean, these calf strains. I mean, they're
They're
talking the
not
most
fun.
optimistic timelines are 1 to 2 weeks, but they linger for a
Yeah.
while. Like it's in
Yep.
the hamstring category where it doesn't exactly heal right away. And coming into playoff basketball, I mean, we just talked about these matchups for Boston. Same deal. If you're Milwaukee at 2 right now, you're going to get the Sixers or the Heat probably first round if it pans out like this. I don't know. Like I feel pretty. I mean, Milwaukee's had plenty of issues to deal with. Again, they were pretty. They've been treading water for a while, and that was before Giannis got hurt. I don't know. Like I'm close to DEFCON 1 in Milwaukee right now, and which this feels crazy to say because they are potentially a number 2 seed. But if you're the Sixers and if you're Miami, if you get that 7, I don't even feel like it's the end of the world. I think you see the blood in the water.
Yeah, I think so. It is crazy to think though, like Bucks, like, and this will kind of be a theme throughout all these teams when we talk about it. Like they could be the 2 seed, they could be at the lowest, the number 4 seed. They do have the tiebreaker against the Knicks, but yeah, I think if you're the Bucks, what is the team that you would prefer to be in that area? You'd rather it somehow the Sixers pop up in the Pacers land in
Indy
there,
or Orlando.
Indy.
It's easily, and that feels disrespectful to those teams because I feel like they could beat Milwaukee too at this
Yeah,
point. Milwaukee did beat Orlando the other night, so that is notable.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the only way I think the Knicks can jump them at this point is the Knicks would have to win both because Milwaukee is a tiebreaker, and Milwaukee would
yes.
have to lose both.
Yes,
Um,
the magic number for a 2 seed is one more win between OKC or Orlando. The Knicks have Brooklyn, Chicago, and they too could, like we said, be the highest at 2 seed. They could be no lower than a 5 seed. But again, that's still such a wild like
It's a lot
flip.
more favorable for the Knicks. The Knicks
Yes.
can easily win both of those matchups.
Yeah.
And obviously Brunson has just been on a different level the past heading into these playoffs. Like he looks ready
Yep.
to go. Has really picked up the slack since Randall has gone down. But I don't know. Mitch Robinson's healthy. Like Hartenstein's had success since moving into the starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
Knicks are pesky, man. Like I don't. Again, it's tough. Same deal with the Knicks applies to if you get Miami or the Sixers. Like that stinks if you work your
You
way
mean
all the way up
Pacers?
to 2. But I also think there's
Oh,
a
Knicks.
scenario.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
But I also think there's a scenario where they may avoid them, and if that you feel pretty good about the Knicks, like if they get Indy or Orlando, I definitely think they can win a 7-game series. Or if Cleveland drops, I think they could win a 7-game series against either of those teams.
Yeah, what do you feel are the expectations with the Knicks? Because we were kind of low on them, I feel like last week when we were talking about it. And now it feels like we might have changed a little bit because they've been cooking.
I think they're capped at. I don't think they're going further than the conference finals. Like
Okay.
I think that's their absolute best case scenario. It's also tough because again, you kind of run into the second round against the Sixers or Miami. I'm still going to they could beat Miami. Like I don't it's weird because I don't think this particular Miami Heat team is very good. Like they've struggled offensively all year. I also just have seen this movie before. Like everything in my brain is telling me that this is the year Miami falls, but is it? Like how many times are we going to do this? Like I don't know. They're right back where they were last year in playing position. Nobody wants to play them in the first round. Jimmy Butler's already getting ready. Like I'm just always going to give Miami the benefit of the doubt, but I'm going to give this Knicks team the benefit of the doubt too. Like we praise their depth all year long. I'm not about to just suddenly rule that out either. Like if you're going to, I wanted Randall to show out in the playoffs, and I think they needed him if they were really going to make a run and challenge Boston at all. Like
Sure.
I just think they needed his firepower. But like you can see the Knicks getting weird and going on a conference finals run no matter who they play.
The Ringer put out a few random stats as we go into the playoffs, and I just jotted down a few of them that I thought were really interesting. One being of all the playoff teams, two of these teams rank 20th or worse in offense, and it's both Florida teams, the Heat and the Magic, 21st and 22nd. So it really does become, can you score enough to win since your, defense is kind of leading the way? And then again, it goes back to Miami is are they gonna turn on the playoff magic, whatever that looks like?
Yeah.
And if so, the margin isn't that far off because the defense is decent. So it's kind of weird that that you've got two teams that are in the bottom 20 for offense but are going into the playoffs. And yeah, it'll become, when the game slows down, when the offense, the possessions get, tighter, whatever it is, can it still be effective at that point?
So the two big Eastern Conference games to watch tonight are Sixers, Orlando, and
Yep.
Indy, Cleveland.
Because
Like those are
Orlando on this list, like you were talking about, they play Philly and Milwaukee, like just absolute worst situation. The highest possible finish is a 3rd seed. The lowest possible finish is an 8th seed.
yeah, yeah, and I mean being in the play-in would be pretty disappointing, especially given where they
Yeah,
were a week ago.
I
Y-
know. Not even that, given today. Given
Yeah, I
today.
and you would think the good news for them is they have the tiebreaker. So if there's a scenario where there's a three-way tie with Philly, Indy, and Orlando, Indy and Orlando have the split. Like the
Yeah.
Sixers need to win out. Like they
Mhm.
have to beat Orlando tonight. And the good news for the Sixers is their last game is against Brooklyn. You think they would have to handle their business against Brooklyn.
Yeah.
They pretty thoroughly did against Detroit the other night. There's also a scenario where if Indy wins out and the Sixers win out, then they're good. Like then the Sixers are out anyway. Indy's got the
Yeah.
tiebreaker over Orlando, and so Orlando's still in the play-in game scenario where you're playing Miami in the first round. That is disappointing because obviously if you fall to 8 and Orlando gets Boston, that looks like a disaster because they're going to go out round 1 then.
Yeah.
And while the season to me would be an objective success with a lot to be happy about moving forward, that would be kind of a bitter end to how given where they were at and given the fact that you think they get a playoff matchup that's a little more favorable. I could see them potentially, they get Milwaukee, they get Cleveland, they get the Knicks. Like you could see them giving way more of a run. They get Boston, they're out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it would be I I think it would be one of those things where it's like a little bit of a blemish, I guess is the word, on the season where like it's gonna feel so good, but then it's like, oh, you got a first round exit in the playoffs. Like, damn,
Yeah.
there's so much more going on there, and it doesn't really feel that way. Um, but to that, at least I guess at that point, the silver lining is some of those guys get some playoff experience, and you get to go from there. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a tight race.
Indy's doing well here to close. Like that, they've done a pretty good job. I mean, since March 29th, they've won 5 of their last 6. Their only loss was to Brooklyn, but they beat the Lakers. They beat Brooklyn. They were in a back-to-back. 3
And they've
straight
got a
against OKC. They beat Miami the other night. That was a huge game that we talked about last week. They beat Toronto. Again, big one against Cleveland tonight, and then they've got Atlanta, but it's at home. So kind of a tough schedule there. Cleveland, of course, has the Indy game, but if they beat Indy tonight, and then they've got Charlotte to end, and Charlotte is basically sitting everybody at this point.
well,
Like,
and what I wanted to ask was for the Pacers with Atlanta. Do you think they're going to be trying at that point? Because like that's kind of locked in too at that. Like, Why not just rest the guys and get them ready for the play in?
yeah, you wonder though, because Trae Young, it looks like is going to come back and
Ramp
is
them
going to
up a
be
little
good to
bit.
go for the play-in game. And we'll again talk a little more about Chicago versus Atlanta in a little bit. But I mean, that to me would be the only question if you start to ramp him up. You don't want to just throw him in the play-in and hey,
Yeah.
this is
Good
our
luck.
entire season. Welcome back. You don't even
Oh,
get an adjustment
oh,
game.
you don't want to pull a 76ers and just throw them out there for 33 minutes and say, yeah, good luck.
Just we have won 6 in a row. How are you bitter about this still? Like
I'm mad about it.
the
You,
Sixers have a real possibility of
I
getting out
know.
of the play-in scenario, which I mean, again, if the Sixers get 7, I still feel pretty good about whoever they're going to play it to. If the Sixers get 8, it's a disaster because they're probably losing in the first round, and that sucks. Like they'll push Boston, but I don't think they're going to beat Boston.
No,
If they get any other combination, I think they can get all the way to the conference finals, and maybe further if Boston somehow stumbles.
that'd be crazy.
Listen, their roster is better than it ever has been depth-wise at this point, and they're getting healthy. Like Anthony Melton just returned. Obviously, Joel is back. I again, very
The
controversial, but
crazy.
Tobias Harris is playing again.
Hmm.
But I mean,
Hmm.
look, with Lowry, with Oubre, with Paul Reed, with Buddy Hield,
What
they've got Ricky Councils look good. Like they
ounce, baby?
feel deeper than they've been in quite a bit come playoff time.
What Eastern Conference Finals does the NBA not want?
Oh
Like,
man.
could you imagine if it was like, no, Chicago's kind of big though. Like, I guess it is kind of like
God, if it was
Magic
like
Pacers.
yeah, that was kind of what I'm thinking of, and
Yeah,
I'm looking at what
just
would be
in
possible with the
terms of
bracket.
size. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot of like guys that people just of stars that people just aren't familiar with. Like Hallie got a little more of a national introduction during the in-season tournament. Obviously, he was
Yeah.
phenomenal during that run. And the Magic guys will get it. Like
Oh
Paulo
yeah.
Banchero will be a star here in the next. I mean, he already kind of is, but like he will be a more household name in the next few years. I think Franz will be too. Um,
I selfishly would love a Knicks Sixers finals.
Yeah, I think I mean, East Coast bias, Knicks, Sixers, Celtics, Sixers, like you could bring the old school
Oh
rivalries
no, I
out
don't
a
want the
little bit.
Celtics. I don't want the Celtics
I
at
don't,
all.
of course, I don't either. I mean, I think Miami, any combo with Miami
Oh
in
yeah,
there,
Miami
for
be fun too.
the league would love as well. Um, I don't know. I mean, if I'm putting the homer hat on, I think the Sixers can win these last two. And I think knowing the urgency they have against Orlando, like I do think they can take care of business against Orlando tonight. It's just Indy winning twice is going to be tough. Or more, I'm interested to see what they do against Cleveland tonight. Like I
Well,
said,
yeah,
Indy's been playing better than Cleveland has, but I still think Cleveland's probably a better team.
well, and Cleveland, like you said, and we're talking about with Indy and Charlotte, like they too have the urgency, right? They could be a number 2 seed or they could be a number 7 seed. So everybody's but dang.
Cleveland's schedule has also been brutal.
Yeah.
Like a lot of their losses here. I mean, you go back to the end of March, a loss at Denver, then they beat Utah on the road. But then this other road trip, like you lose in Phoenix, you lose the Lakers, you lose the Clippers. Those are all, again, that stinks, but they're tough losses all on the road. And then their
Yeah.
last one, they beat Memphis. So you handled your business there. You're back at home for the last two. Like, that's what you got to feel good about if you're Cleveland. And hopefully the Donovan Mitchell is just getting healthier. I think that's the other, big thing that everybody is going to be watching there. But no matter what, it feels very wide open in the East. Or maybe it's wide open for everyone that's not Boston. I guess that's the thing. In terms of just entertainment purposes and selfish purposes, because one of them will knock each other out, like, I would love to see Miami Boston again first round. Like, I would love to see them just get after it right away. A potential conference finals quality matchup in round one. And I do think for what it's worth, like, you get Sixers Bucks first round. I think that's really entertaining from a star perspective.
Mhm.
I think that gives the Knicks, then whoever they play, a much more favorable matchup. Likewise with Cleveland and Indy, like I think then they're in better positions as well to move forward. So either way, a lot to watch in the East. I do want to mention Chicago and Atlanta a little bit because that will be our 9 to 10 matchup. We
Yep.
we mentioned Trey returning. I think that's the big storyline, of course. Atlanta will be down a few players. Okongwu's not playing. Jalen Johnson's not going to play for the play-in game. So I don't know. My initial, like, I lean Chicago to come out of this game. DeRozan is a player who obviously is good for these type of games. He's been here before, certainly an excellent play-in game last year. Um, I don't know. I think either of these teams are, I mean, they're both below 500. Like, this is the 1 9 10 matchup where it's just like, well, you hope it's entertaining.
This
You don't.
is the matchup that play-in tournament haters are gonna point to.
Sure, but unless it's good, and then whoever wins pushes like they did last year. Like when Chicago won that game with Miami, the play-in game, they
Sure.
pushed Miami to the brink in that game. That's what made Miami's finals run, I think, even more remarkable for a lot of people last year. Is that like Levine almost knocked them out like real early.
Yeah.
Um, like I
It's
said, I lean.
just it's just like, but like the game.
No, I know, I hear you. Did you see the play with Kobe White and Andre Drummond the other night?
No.
Dude, you need to go watch it. It might be the funniest play I've ever seen. So,
Uh,
like, Kobe White steals the ball, and so he throws it off the backboard to, dunk himself. Andre Drummond thought it was a lob for him, and so he plows into Kobe White, and they just knock each other down. The dunk completely misses. Like,
oh, I think I got it. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it. I think I found it.
oh yeah, I need to see your thing live. If you can pull this up
Yeah,
on
yeah.
screen right now,
Oh,
I need
sorry,
to see
wrong
your
thing.
reaction. Oh, there's you.
That's definitely not. Hold on. Screen. YouTube. Colby White. All right. I am not. I'm gonna mute it because I don't know what this audio is gonna look like. Okay. Sorry, this is really bad. bad podcasting for the podcast
No,
listeners.
this isn't it, dude. This is
No?
not the play. No, they have different
Oh.
jerseys. This is successful. No, I think this play looks like it might be actually something.
Oh,
No,
okay, hold on. I'll keep looking. I'll keep looking
search
then.
Andre Drummond shacked in a fool, and it'll probably come up
Oh,
because Shaq was talking about
yeah.
it the other night, and it was like it's one of the most incredible plays I've ever seen in a basketball court, and by incredible I mean it's an absolute
One
train
day
wreck.
ago, this has to be it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I need to see a reaction to this live.
Okay, hold on. Let's try this again. Hold on. Well, you got to give me a second. I got to get through. I don't have like what I can skip.
Oh, you don't got YouTube Premium or whatever?
That's what. All right, let's. This is like the whole. Hold on. Let me just get it going. Okay.
Can we skip for? Yeah. Hang on.
Right.
No, we gotta keep forward. It's gonna be number one. You gotta probably go all the way.
Number one.
Like,
Okay. Yeah, there it is. That's the Bulls, right? Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we
Okay.
go.
Right here. You
All
gotta
right.
watch this. Okay. Wide open.
Oh yeah. Oh. Oh, did it go in though?
No,
Oh, it didn't go in.
He went off the board, and that's the thing is like it's incredible because the sky cam or the camera on the top of the backboard, not the sky cam, it got a picture of them like of Kobe realizing Andre Drummond was behind him and him just like his eyes lighting up when it's like, oh my God, we're going down.
I'm gonna die. But like, why? How do you not see Kobe White there?
I think Andre Drummond thought it was for him. He saw he was there. I think he thought he was leaving it for him. It's just a miscommunication. Like, and I get what Drummond is thinking, but like, damn, bro.
You know they were getting torn up in the locker room afterwards.
No, you have to laugh.
Oh, yeah.
You can only just laugh at that play. It's
Oh,
unbelievable. But yeah, so Bulls Hawks, I'm gonna pick the Bulls here. I think they advance. I think they lose to whoever comes out of no matter who it is, like whether it's Orlando, whether it's that'd be a disaster though if Orlando found a way to lose or Indy found a way to lose to Chicago or any of these teams, I guess. But like Miami, Philly, whoever is playing Chicago, I think is going to comfortably move on and be the 8th seed and unfortunately get the right to lose to Boston.
I was going to say, I was trying to see if they had any, it doesn't look like they do. I was trying to see if they had any prop or sports bets on that game, the Hawks Bulls, to see if there was any.
No, it's probably still too early. Like I mean, there's 2 games left in the season. Like we're not going to be. It'll be closer towards the end of the week next week.
If you wanted to put championship money down, the Boston Celtics are still plus 175. Honestly,
you say that, but that year the Hawks went to the conference finals. I said that as a joke on this podcast.
I know.
I thought they were going to win. Like I thought, it would have been incredible because, like I said, shout out to my pal Al. He Venmoed me $10 after hearing the podcast and said, "Yo, you got to put it on Atlanta." And like, bro, I thought we were quietly about to make like 10 grand. I was
right.
Like,
well, okay. So let's see what they are. The highest odds, are Bulls and Hawks. They are the exact same. Although, dude,
as they should be.
Who would you think's the next one after that?
Oh man,
probably
it's gonna be disrespectful because it's probably gonna be somebody in the East, right? Oh
yeah,
man, it's
dude,
Indy or Orlando.
It's Orlando and then the Kings and then Indy.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like,
but the Lakers and Warriors are the Lakers and Knicks have the same odds. The Lakers, Knicks, and Heat and Cavs have the same odds. The Suns have better odds. The Suns and 76ers have the same odds, and I'm a little triggered by that too. Better odds. Timberwolves, Dallas, OKC have the same odds.
All them should have way better odds. We're not even talking there.
Yeah, above OKC, who could be the 1 seed, I think, still in the West after all this. Have less odds than the Bucks, the Clippers, the Nuggets, and the Celtics. And they are tied with the Dallas Mavericks and Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota Timberwolves, actually, out of all these, should be the triggered the most. They're the lowest, and they, too, could be the 1 seed.
Dallas, I am not a betting man, but Dallas and the Sixers would be my, like, low unit, like, hedge of
Dallas,
who I might sprinkle on and be like, hey, they could actually like go on a run. There's a window there the way they're playing right now.
Listen, $5 on the Sixers gets you $177.
If Boston gets bounced, the Sixers can get to the finals. And I say that as someone who's probably going to be on this podcast just miserable in 2 weeks.
But I will say, if you wait until that happens, the odds are going to change anyway. So you got to put $100 on the 76ers right now.
When the Sixers got eliminated last year, fun fact, was your last episode before going on paternity leave. So
Yeah.
that's when we know it'll be nearing Quinn's first birthday. So that's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that. I do also remember that. Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
What I say? Oh, I thought that was about to be like an emotional dad thing. I was like, are we gonna get
No,
a
no. I
soft
mean, like
moment?
I was pissed off the Sixers lost.
Yeah, no comment. All right, so let's go out west a little bit. And the main races to watch there are the number one spot, which we said is that group of 3 teams between
Yeah.
Denver, Minnesota, and Oklahoma City.
I want OKC to get it so bad.
See, I don't.
No?
No, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm not an OKC hater, but like, I don't know. They're gonna be here for a long time.
Sure. Started off early. I'm convinced. I'm convinced, by the way, this is such a random thing. I was talking to a Middleton about this, actually. I was like, I'm pretty sure if you took the weight, like combined total weight of every team, OKC has to be the lightest team. They have to be. Everyone looks like a stick figure.
That's actually hilarious. Last 2 in this triumvirate or games, OKC's got Milwaukee and Dallas, so they have the toughest by far.
Yeah.
Minnesota's got Atlanta and Phoenix. Denver by far has the easiest with San Antonio and Memphis.
Great.
Look, they're both on the road. But after beating Minnesota the other night, I don't know. I think we're looking at a Denver number 1 seed here again.
Yeah, probably.
Probably Minnesota, I think, finishes at 2 and OKC finishes at 3. That's how it's currently seated right now. If it were to end,
well, it's worth mentioning. Minnesota owns the tiebreaker against the Nuggets and the Thunder.
That is very much worth mentioning. And so that's why, obviously, like we mentioned, it was crucial for Denver to get that win on Wednesday. They beat
so like even if it ends up being like OKC and them tied for number 2, then Timberwolves are going to take it. So that's not the greatest for OKC's outlook, at least.
Yeah, the Clippers and Mavericks are going to be in this first round series. I mean, if anything, Dallas is just playing to try to get the game up on the Clippers and get home court here in these last 2. That's going to be a bloodbath, I think, in the first round. I'm super excited for it.
That'd be a good one. Yeah.
It's going to be crazy that one of these teams is just going to be out. Like, there are windows where it's like, I can see these teams winning the finals.
Yeah.
And one of them is just going to be out after the first round. But again, that's a testament to how strong the Western Conference is right now. And then really beyond that, of course, it's the play-in position. Only it's all the way from 6 to 10 at this point. New Orleans is in the driver's seat right now. They won't be lower than 7. But they've got a game right now up on Phoenix. They've got a crucial one or 2 really against Golden State and the Lakers.
Tough ones. Yeah, because both those guys need wins. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that makes it a little more difficult.
It's worth mentioning the Pelicans do own the tiebreaker against the Kings, but
do they own it against Phoenix?
The Suns own the tiebreaker against the Pelicans.
Yeah, so the Suns need the Pelicans to lose once, and they need to win both games, and they're good. Now, the Suns' schedule isn't exactly easy either. They've got Sacramento, who's going to be playing tough. Now, Sacramento, more injuries, and I think that's the thing to keep in mind there. But you've also got Minnesota. Minnesota's going to be playing for seeding, too, in your last one to end, and that's on the road.
Weirdly enough, the Kings might actually have the easiest schedule out of both of them. Now, you got to play Phoenix, but then you play Portland.
Yeah, Portland has got to be a win. The problem with the Kings now, though, is it's just like, man, I don't think anything is easy for them.
No, but at least from I guess it doesn't really matter. I was going to say, but at least from that, they own the tiebreaker against the Lakers. But at that point, you're in a play-in anyway. So I guess
they own it against the Lakers and the Warriors. Where are the Kings with both of those?
The Kings own the tiebreaker against the Warriors. The Warriors own the tiebreaker against the Lakers. It doesn't say if they own it against the Warriors on here, actually.
The Lakers have the easiest schedule in the sense that they have Memphis tonight, which I think they got to win. And then you've got Pelicans. Pelicans is obviously a little tougher. Golden State, though, again, they've got the Pelicans as well, but you've got Utah after that. Utah's 1-9 in their last 10. So you would think that's got to be a win. They just beat Utah a few days ago. The Warriors' biggest win of the week was against the Lakers.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. At this point, I think Sacramento might slip. And that'd be, I mean, just devastating for them. But I also think that's a product of injury. Like, you've lost Malik Monk. You've lost Kevin Huerter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough.
it's tough to replace that rotation.
And it's tough because you look at the Warriors and Lakers, who objectively have been playing really well at the end of this season. Like the Warriors are 9-1 in their last 10. The Lakers are 7-3 in their last 10. Last episode, we talked about how the Lakers were cooking and
Yeah.
doing really well. Although I guess they are on a 2-game losing streak, but they were doing really well, and it just didn't matter because everybody else was doing really well. So
Yeah. I could see the Warriors jumping though, and getting
that's
to
fair.
8-10. And I think if you're the Lakers, you have to feel great about that because I think the Lakers probably take out the Kings at this point. Kings' best case scenario is they're able to hold on to 8.
Although it brings it back to what's his name, Sabonis being what
Yeah,
is
you're
he?
right. Yeah,
He
Sabonis
hasn't
undefeated
lost
against
to
AD. Yeah,
Anthony
you're right.
Davis, and it's only one game,
That'd be a
and it's
great no,
only
that'd be,
one
listen, it'd be a
game.
great time to keep that streak going.
And oh god, you know how much they're going to talk about that if it becomes a thing. Sabonis is going to be so annoyed.
It would be wild. That'd be Lakers getting bounced in a 9-10 game would be a wild day on NBA Twitter. There'd be a lot of slander going
by the
around.
Kings and Sabonis and an injured Kings at that. Beam team for real.
I mean, Pell's trying to avoid the play-in to watch.
Yeah.
Either way, like of this group, I think Sacramento is the weakest. Again, just off injuries right now. But you could see it going any way. Like Phoenix, every time you feel like they've hit the gas, they then just lose an inexplicable game.
Phoenix should not be a 7 seed. Like with the talent they have on paper, should not be a 7 seed.
I agree.
But that's a whole nother conversation that maybe you go listen to a Suns specific podcast for. But
yeah. I mean, either way, though. I mean, obviously, when we drop this episode, these games will be decided, but really just beautiful NBA slate tonight. I mean, Orlando Sixers, Indy Cleveland has a ton of ramifications, which we mentioned. Watching the Lakers against Memphis, you'll keep an eye on that. Milwaukee OKC has ramifications potentially. Golden State, New Orleans. That to me is the late night game to watch for sure.
Yeah.
Phoenix, Sacramento too. A great late night game to watch. So, this will definitely be a really good NBA night. If you're a sicko, you also could watch Dallas and Detroit. Dallas pretty favorable there. If they're trying to get this home court, I think they got to be happy with having Detroit right now. Either way, though, really fun end of the week. There's a lot to be in store for with hoops heads. And I think the play-in games, I mean, 9-10 in the West is going to be incredible. A little bit less in the East per se, but either way.
Well, and we'll talk about that a bit in my balling and falling, because that does come up.
Well, why don't we get right into it? Who's balling, who's falling, our NBA version of the stock market. We always like to start with the good before the bad. So Justin, I'll start with you this week. Who's balling?
Yeah. This is a conversation on Reddit that everybody's been having, because 48 wins got you the 3 seed in the West last year.
Yeah.
And for those keeping track, 48 wins this year means you're most likely in the play-in tournament.
Yeah. I mean, the West is loaded. There's no way around it. Like, this is a really, really tough 1-10 West. And that's not even talking about a team like Houston who's been pushing late. I know it falls a little towards the end, but I mean, and Memphis, in theory, Memphis dealt with injuries.
And you look at a team like, I think the Sacramento Kings are a great example of this, right? Last year, they were 48-34 and a 3rd seed going into the playoffs. This year, they dropped 3 games. They're 45-35.
Yeah.
And they're in the play-in tournament.
They might be the 10.
Yeah, they might be the 10.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is. It really is.
To that, sorry to keep going, the Golden State Warriors just won 1 extra game last year. They're 45 wins this year. They were 44 last year. Last year, I don't think we were as, I guess, negative feeling about the Warriors as we are right now. Lakers actually have more wins this year than they did last year, but they're going to have a worse seeding. It's wild.
Yeah, and I mean, again, just I think over there, it's a testament to how good the conference is. The East probably a little worse than it was the last year, though I'd argue the East has way more parity than it has. It's just the 9-10 in the East are a little lower, obviously, than they are.
But I feel like that's kind of been how it was in the East, at least for a while.
It evened out a little bit. But yeah, either way. All right, balling for me this week. We got a pair of national champs on the college level. We talked about March Madness a little
Yep.
bit. On the women's side, South Carolina getting it done, capping off a 39-0 season, beating Iowa 87-75. Dawn Staley, her third title. Shout out to Coach Dawn, Philly's finest. Nothing but
Mhm.
love for Coach Dawn on this podcast.
Mhm. Mhm.
Obviously, big shout out to Caitlin Clark too, going to be the number one pick in the WNBA draft. Unfortunately, coming up short. But giving us all a lot to watch. And the women. I mean, the women we talked about significantly more firepower in terms of, or star power, I should
Oh
say,
yeah.
on the women's side this year. Very, very entertaining.
And not
You
like
hope that
I know this is gonna sound bad, but not like a forced talk about. Like there was
no,
legit excitement to talk about and
the
beef
ratings,
and craziness. Yeah.
the championship ratings, it's one of the highest rated basketball games in years. And I mean, it
Yeah.
comes off an instant classic last year with LSU and Iowa. So yeah,
Yeah.
a lot to be excited about there. On the men's side, UConn just rolling this entire tournament,
Yeah.
winning the title against Purdue 75-60, highest point differential margin ever. I mean, there's no way around it. Like UConn's team, and Purdue's a really good team, but UConn just by far the best. Back-to-back championships. I think that's the first time that's been done since the Florida Gators did it at the end of the 2000s. And that team,
Wow.
Gators are loaded with NBA
That
talent. I mean,
that
remember that team? It's Al
Noah
Horford, Joakim Noah.
Boozer. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
no, Corey Brewer.
Oh, Boozer wasn't on that team?
No, Boozer was on Duke, dude. It was
Oh,
Brewer. It was Corey Brewer,
Brewer.
Al
That's right.
Horford, Joakim Noah, and I'm blanking. They had a fourth one, and I'm blanking on it
Hold on,
right
I'll pull it
now.
up. Gators
Um,
NBA back to back. 2 national champs. So 05, 06, 06, 07. Billy Donovan, the coach. Hold on, hold on. Gator basketball roster. Brewer, Brent Swanson, Brandon Powell, Torian Green, Joakim Noah. I don't know, one of their names are really popping off.
I don't know. Either way, they all had pretty successful NBA careers. Like Horford went the highest. Obviously, had a
Right.
phenomenal NBA career. Joakim Noah, one of the better defensive players until injuries got him. And Noah was, I think, maybe the one, and because for his dominance, he was in college. I think he was the one that people
Maurice
maybe get worried
Spades.
about. But
Spades.
oh, I forgot Spates is on that team too. That's
Al
funny.
Horford, Spades.
Spates
After
wasn't who I was thinking of, but
Yeah, he's on there. He was a
um,
sophomore at that point.
yeah, good for
Duncan
him.
Mitchell, Jack Barry, Walter Hodge, Joakim Noah, Lee Humphrey, Torian Green, Brandon Powell, Corey Brewer, Brent Swanson. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All
Good for
right.
them.
Who's falling for you this week?
Falling for me this week is going to go out to Kenny Smith, getting a lot of heat on the internet for his picks for all NBA first team. He had SGA and Ant over Brunson and Luca, and people are kind of pissed. Now, it might be a little bit of recency bias because Brunson and Luca are cooking right now. And SGA and who else did I say? Well, I just lost my spot. Oh, and Ant have kind of been consistent throughout the year.
So he has them on the first, and he has Luca and Jalen on the
Brunson,
second.
yeah,
I don't hate it for Brunson. Luca should be one. Luca's got to be one. Like Luca to me is the MVP of Jokic. It's either Jokic or Luca to me.
yeah,
SGA should be there too, man. They won a lot of games, like you said. That consistency matters. He's been pretty elite all year, and I love Ant. I struggle to put Ant on too, but I probably go Ant and Brunson at two. And that's not a slight to any of them. Like Brunson to me has an extremely compelling MVP argument that's probably getting slept on weirdly. His team hasn't hit the highs that some of these other have, and that's where I'm kind of like, that's where I
yeah.
lean towards Luca. Like the way that Luca's just turned that team around in the second half, and there is probably recency bias there because the Mavs are playing their best basketball of the season right now.
Mm-hmm.
I also think Jokic is probably just going to win it this year. Like, I don't know. There's a pretty good case for him as well.
Yeah, Jokic. I mean, look, what I'm trying to do. Who am I missing? Luca and Anthony. Okay, I'm trying to compare all the players right now.
We also, while you're comparing them, Karl Anthony Towns is returning as well, which we didn't really mention
Yes,
with the
yes, yes,
Minnesota
yes.
boost. I don't, again, with seeding, I don't think that's as important, but I think him getting minutes before the playoffs, because no matter who they get in the play-in tournament is going to be a tougher matchup. So you want to get him kind of,
Agreed.
back in game action sooner than later and in something a little less meaningful.
I agreed. Okay, here I got it. And honestly, kind of low key could be a swing of things, at least in the playoffs for the Timberwolves. Let's compare all 4 of these guys. See if I can pull it up for you. All right, here we go. Really, when you do this, it kind of shows that Luka and SGA, from a stats perspective, have more. I don't know if that really matters. I mean, this is just overall year. Let's see if I can
Well,
do.
that's the thing is, like, I don't really
Yes.
care about the overall year
I
thing
don't
at
know if
all.
I
I
can
care about this
change.
year.
Yeah, I don't know if I can change that to just choose seasons. Uh First season. No, come on. Oh, it's not gonna let me. That's
No.
annoying.
Oh, you can't
Oh
change
yes, I
it?
can. I can. I
Yeah,
can.
you
I can.
can.
Yeah, yeah, we go. Okay, so hold on. All right. Again, great podcasting on my end.
No, I know, but why you do I mean, I don't know. I'm at Luca right now.
Let's see. Here we go. All right, we got it all. Get results. Go. So this is this season. 70 games.
It should
So
be
Brunson's
that
played
way,
the
like,
most.
I mean,
Luca's.
Luca by far the most points.
Yep.
The 9.8 assists is what jumps off the map too here for me with Luca. Like, that's
Yeah.
because SGA and Brunson, we think of point guards, and SGA's at
Yeah.
6.2 and Brunson's at 6.7. SGA's scoring is a little higher than Brunson and Edwards. Luca's effective field goal percentage is the highest, his BPM is the highest, his warp is the highest. All
Yeah,
the advanced stuff.
Luca, all this does to me is just confirm Luca should be first.
Yeah,
First team. The
it's
rest can be what you want.
the numbers verify what I thought is that,
Yeah.
Luca and SGA should be the first team and Brunson and Ant should be the second team.
Yeah.
Like, that's not all these guys are having awesome seasons. Like, look
Yeah.
at these numbers. Like, we're
Yeah.
really nitpicking right now.
100%. But I kind of agree with you where I think once you look at just the overall stats for this year, I think it kind of shows these two are just slightly better. And you look at the advanced stat, the BPM, the VORP. I think it kind of mimics that, you know.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't, all that fun stuff. Fallen for me this week is Ben McLemore, and we can move on from this real quick, but he got arrested in Oregon on a sexual assault charge. It's a
yeah,
first-degree charge. It's super nasty work. Obviously, McLemore was in the league for a few years. He got drafted by Sacramento. He's not in the league right now. We will let the criminal justice system play out, but just worth mentioning.
and I know he made a statement about the whole situation, and it will play out the way it plays out.
Yeah, we'll leave it there and let the court system do its work. But in the meantime, let's jump into some immaculate grid here right now. Oh my God, I'm so irritated already. Because we have our favorite category, born outside the US 50 states and DC, which we know we do it a zillion times. It's super easy. And I'm just so irritated that Basketball Reference continues to put this on the grid. Just give me some teams, man. Like, give us 9 teams.
Chris Stapps Porzingis works in like 4 different areas here.
He literally works for the whole top row. Yeah, like all of it. The whole top row he works for.
So
watch grids on YouTube for the podcast listeners before we get too far into it. Our columns this week from left to right are the Knicks, the Celtics, and born outside the US 50 states and DC. Our rows are the Wizards, the Pistons, and the Raptors. So yes, Kristaps Porzingis works in literally all of them at the top.
Which one do you think is going to be the least used by players? Like, I bet the low-hanging fruit is Knicks, Wizards is where but Kristaps Porzingis is Boston now.
Yeah, but he was on the Knicks longer and he got drafted by the Knicks.
So I bet born outside the US, Porzingis would be the least out of the 3.
I think so as well.
You want to try it?
Well, he'll be right. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. But do you want to go with that? Or
yeah, we can go with Porzingis there. That's fine.
Okay. 7%.
Yeah,
definitely.
It'll be the lowest there, and that's fine.
So did Al Horford end up on the Wizards for a second?
No.
Okay.
No, never.
I thought he did for some reason.
Hawks, Sixers, Celtics,
OKC,
Thunder.
And then he just came back?
That's it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause he had 2 stints in Boston, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, for Knicks and Wizards,
Oh, I got a Knicks Toronto,
who you got for Knicks Toronto?
Jeremy Lin.
Jeremy Lin does work for Knicks Toronto.
Jeremy Lin, baby. Anytime I get a Knicks, I'm just looking for a Jeremy Lin connection.
Yeah, I don't think there's an Elfrid Payton connection here
No.
today.
I was hoping for it, but I don't think so
No, I
either.
know. I don't think there is.
Pistons, Celtics, Blake Griffin.
Yeah, Blake does work there.
Probably gonna be the most common though.
Yeah, we can we can work some of these out. We can get some less common guesses here. I have
Yeah.
faith in us.
Mhm.
Um, I don't
Okay.
I don't think he ever suited up for the Pistons, and I feel like I say this all the time, but Tracy McGrady was definitely on the Knicks, but I don't think he ever suited up in a game for the Pistons. So that
Mm.
knocks that out. We also could have used T-Mac for Knicks and Raptors.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. What about, Willie Hernan Gomez? Did he ever end up with the Wizards? Because he was on the Knicks.
oh
I
God.
know he ended up with he was on the Hornets at one point,
He was definitely on the Hornets at one point.
and he
He
was
was
on the Knicks.
I got it. No, I last time I remember him was with the Pelicans.
Yeah. I know he was with the Knicks at one point. I just don't know if he ended up with the Wizards. I don't think he did, is I guess my greater point. Um,
Boston and Washington, Isaiah Thomas works.
oh yeah.
I think our boy Dennis Schroeder works too.
Dennis Schroeder. He would have worked for Raptors too. No, did he
No,
work?
he works for Boston, Toronto. If we want to use him there,
Yeah, you want to do him there?
yeah, we can do Dennis Schroeder there.
I'm pretty sure we've used him in like the last 7.
We have. He's been in a lot. He would have worked for outside 50 states in DC too, but
Oh, OG would have worked for Raptors Knicks.
oh yeah, I mean that probably is the most common answer right
OG
now.
OG probably works for Born Outside, right?
Yeah, he's Canadian, right?
I'm not positive. I think so.
No, just kidding. He was born in the UK. Yeah, we can do OG there though. That works. He was definitely born. He was born outside the US.
Yeah,
That's all
well,
that matters.
that's what I was assuming. Yeah, 3%. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. That because I bet most was used as
Oh
the
yeah, he was
Raptors
born in
Knicks
London.
connection.
Okay, OG was born
Okay.
in London.
Okay.
All right.
Pistons outside the US is probably easy. Right?
Just because we nobody come to mind right away. No, I mean Bogdanovich is the most recent
Yeah.
one that I think people will do.
Oh
I
man.
mean, none of their stars from
Did
the conference finals teams are born outside the US.
well, just because I always think of Andre Drummond and the Pistons. I mean, he ended up did he ever end up he was with Boston, right? For a second? Knicks?
Oh man.
I want to say he was with Boston, right?
Was he?
Ooh, I don't know. Knicks, I don't know.
I don't think he was with either of them. When was he with the
Jeez.
Knicks?
No, I would feel more confident about Celtics than Knicks, but I'm still not confident about
For
either.
Drummond?
Yeah.
I don't feel confident about either.
His random little stints with teams since
I don't think they were. He was with Cleveland. He was with the Sixers. He was with Chicago. Well, he's on Chicago now.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is he with
Um,
Chicago now?
He's on the Nets. Maybe you're thinking of the
Maybe
Nets.
Nets. Maybe
'Cause
Nets.
he was in the Ben Simmons trade.
Yeah. Shoot, we might have to go Blake. Ugh.
We could do T-Mac for Pistons and Knicks.
You wanna go T-Mac?
Yeah, we can do T-Mac there.
T-Mac, wow, 4%.
4. Wow, it was way lower than I thought. I thought that'd
Yeah.
be high.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was late career stuff, obviously. You don't really associate Tracy McGrady with
Yeah.
either teams, but
Okay.
no, who did Caron Butler ever play for the Wizards?
Oof.
Or not the Wizards, I should say. He definitely played for the Wizards. Did he ever play for the Knicks?
Dude, I don't know.
I don't know. He played for the Pistons, but that doesn't help us there.
What about
I don't think he plays
for
for Boston.
Pistons outside the US, Ersan Ilyasova.
Oh, yeah, it definitely works. Yep. Ilyasova works.
IRSAN? No,
No, ERSAN.
SAN. Oh,
No, yeah.
Ersan Ilyasova, baby,
One. Wow,
1%.
okay.
He's
Nice.
another one that I just always think of, like, all the time.
Yeah. Oh, he's been in the league a long
Where
time,
did
man.
where did Gortat go? Did he just retire?
No, Gortat's been retired for a few years
No,
now.
but I mean, did he go anywhere after the Wizards or before the Wizards?
Before the Wizards, he was on Orlando.
Okay.
After the Wizards, he was I feel like he played for the Clippers for a year.
Okay.
That's about it though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Mm.
trying to think if like I don't think Baron Davis ever played for the Wizards. He definitely played for the Knicks, but I don't think he played for the Wizards. Did I know? Oh man, no, I think might work. Did Chris Humphries ever play for the
Oof. Chris
Chris Humphries
Humphries.
played for the Celtics, I think. And he might have played for the Knicks, but I'm pretty sure he played for the Celtics.
And he was definitely on the Wizards.
No, he was definitely on the Wizards. The Wizards would be the connection. It'd be Wizards Celtics.
I feel more confident about Wizards Celtics than Wizards Knicks.
I do too.
Okay, let's go Humphries and hope. Yep,
Okay,
yep, 2%.
2%.
Good, good,
Nice.
good.
With Knicks and oh man, we could have used IT there, but I didn't feel good about I didn't
Oh
feel good
yeah.
enough about using Humphries there. For Wizards and Knicks, there's got to be somebody that we're not thinking of.
What about like a point guard?
Well, what about like a Gilbert Arenas didn't play there, I don't think, in New
Like
York.
a Raymond Felton?
That's what I'm no, but that's the type I'm talking about.
Yeah. Like, did he play who else was a point guard?
Felton for sure played for the Knicks. Like, I can
Oh,
get
yeah.
people that play for one of these teams. Like, I can Felton.
Dinwiddie never did, Knicks. Matt Barnes
I
never
think
did.
didn't he play for the Knicks? I know he played for the Nets. He
I don't
played for
think
the
he
Wiz
played for
for
the
sure.
Knicks. Yeah,
And
he's
he
definitely
hasn't been
whizzed.
back. Who was the other one you mentioned? Matt Barnes?
Yeah, just because he's
I
always
don't
one that randomly pops up
He
that
is. He's
works.
everywhere, but I think he was out west most of it.
Yeah.
He
Jeez.
played for the Knicks.
Otto Porter,
No, Wall didn't.
Wall
Beal
didn't.
didn't, obviously.
Yeah.
We already used
It's gonna be
Porzingis.
like a forward. It's gonna be a forward,
What about,
who was
what about
after Chris
Swaggy
Humphries?
P? Did Swaggy P ever play for the Knicks?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. He was on the Wiz.
Ooh,
I'm trying to think of like oh my god, like who else is there? Like
should we
Bertans?
just go Blake here just to have one left?
Yeah, I guess for the sake of time, we should go Blake there. That'll be our chalkiest guess by far, I think.
Yeah,
So far.
42.
Yeah,
Good call.
42.
Yeah. Oh man. Wizards, Knicks.
Um,
Knicks.
Oh my god. What about like I don't remember if Mike Bibby was on the Wiz at all.
Mm.
But man, he might have been. And if he is, he definitely played for the Knicks. I know he played for the Knicks. It's just if he was on the Wiz, but I hold that one. That's the first one I thought about where I'm like, hold it.
There's gotta be like a big name though.
I don't think Ish was ever there. Well, the obvious ones, like Ish was on the Wizards, but I don't think he was on the Knicks. I don't think Jeff Green was on both. Andre Miller was on the Wizards. I don't think he was on the Knicks. Richard Jefferson was in a lot of places. I don't think it was either of these. Rod Strickland, I always never know where to place. I know, and he was on the Knicks. It's just
it sucks. We should. I mean, it probably would have been chalky, but we could have put Porzingis here and we'd have it.
I know. Bibby and Rod Strickland are my two where I'm willing to guess so far. Because Rod Strickland was everywhere. That's what I've learned from playing Immaculate Grid is that Rod Strickland is everywhere. Like almost like Ish.
I'm wondering. I'm trying to think of Knicks players. Knicks.
All right, recent. Or let's do on the roster right now. Mitch Robinson is not. Hartenstein is not. OG Anunoby. Well, we already used OG Anunoby, so it wouldn't matter anyway. Brunson obviously is not. Randall was never in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Bogdanovich. Oh, was Bogdanovich in Washington?
Bogdanovich might have been. Weirdly enough, I feel like there was news. Wasn't there news? It was like
Dude,
last weekend. Taj Gibson revenge game or something.
Taj Gibson works, dude.
Does he?
I'm pretty sure Taj
Wasn't
Gibson
there news? There was like a revenge game for him or something, but I thought it was Pistons.
Well, that Taj Gibson's been on so many teams. He's on the Pistons right now.
So it was Pistons. Okay, so that's where I saw that news.
So here's my level of confidence. I'm high for Taj. I think Taj works.
Yeah.
Rod Strickland and Bibby are lower, but I'm leaning towards them. I think Bogdanovich works too. Bogdanovich, I'm higher on. I'm not Taj high, but I'm pretty high on Bogdanovich too.
Well, what do we want to do? I feel like no matter what we do, it's not going to be the number one answer because the number one answer is Kristaps Porzingis.
I feel good about Taj Gibson being low. I mean, he's been there recently, but like these are 10-day teams. Like Taj Gibson is associated with Chicago.
Oh yeah, dude's been going for 14 years. Holy
great
moly.
career, man.
All right, here we go.
Taj is 100% right. I feel good. That's right. I
in.
feel good about landing it there. I'm glad we landed the plane.
Yep. We were a good call on Porzingis being the number one answer for that.
Pierce, he had a game winner there. All right. So number one guesses for everybody. For Nixon, it was Porzingis for Wizards and Knicks.
Rose.
Yeah. Porzingis for Wizards and Knicks, Paul Pierce for Wizards and Celtics, Denny Avda for Wizards born outside the US 50 states. Derrick Rose for Pistons and Knicks, Blake Griffin, who we got for Pistons and Celtics, Darko Milicic for the Pistons, which is hilarious. OG Anunoby for Celtics and Knicks, Dennis Schroeder for Raptors and Celtics, who we got. Wow, 22%. Yeah. That was the highest there. I'm actually a little surprised by that.
People are catching on.
And Pascal Siakam for Raptors born outside the US. Do we want to recap our grid real quick?
Sure.
By the way, Rod Strickland, Mike Bibby, and Bojan Bogdanovich all would have worked.
Oh, we had a list. Okay.
Yeah, how about that? All right, so to recap our grid, Wizards Knicks, Taj Gibson, Wizards Celtics, Chris Humphries, Wizards born outside the U.S., Kristaps Porzingis, Pistons Knicks, Tracy McGrady, Pistons Celtics, Blake Griffin, Pistons born outside the U.S., Ersan Ilyasova,
yeah, my guy.
Raptors and Knicks, Jeremy Lin, Raptors and Celtics, Dennis Schroeder, and Raptors born outside the U.S., OG Anunoby.
We called it with OG and with Porzingis. We just played the game a little bit there, just moved him to the side.
Yeah, Porzingis, I think, again, his most notable tenure still with the Knicks. We'll see how his Boston career ends, but I just still think it's that right now. And then OG, that trade just happened this year. Like, the counterpoint that we didn't mention at all is like we could have used RJ Barrett too. Like that's the other one who was just sitting right there.
Oh, I didn't even think. I didn't even think of that side of the trade.
There's always another side to these trades.
Yeah, for
real. Thank you everybody for listening to this episode of the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. Appreciate you guys as always. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. I'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM. Anywhere you find a podcast, you can find us.
And subscribe on YouTube, Drive and Dish NBA. You can watch a video version of the podcast. Obviously, the Immaculate Grid part is pretty visual. And you can subscribe there, and you will get a notification when we are putting out another episode.